And we welcome you in to a real and true, alive week one version of Catching Up with Coach. And I am your solo host for the evening. Guys, we're here. We're here, kids and coaches. Not only are we here, but we're here in a big way. And let me explain a little bit about what I mean by that. What I mean by that is we're not only here emotionally, we're here physically, we're here psychologically, biblically, religiously, some might even say. Shout out to our Lord and Savior. This is the year of our Lord 2025, and we have a week one slate ready for you guys all tonight. So, first things first, get it out of the way. Drop us a like, drop us a share if you don't mind. It certainly helps out getting some other folks in here and maybe some fun comments. Last time we had a couple of the SEC rival variety in the chat. So post them in here. We'll certainly answer them throughout the show. And without further ado, we just want to get right into it. I feel as though this has been a culmination of a lot of hard work. This has been a culmination of a lot of really, really sleepless nights, certainly for Russo and myself. And if I know him well enough, I will know that he will be here in the chat here soon if he's not already live, showing us some support from the crib and likely from the 225 area code. How about that? Which we will not be. We will not be in the 225 area code as it pertains to I guess probably what, Friday? Kind of area code we talking about? Little 251 area code. Turn me up for the chat. Going to be super, super excited. We are going to take the show on Thursday, regular time. So definitely tune in for that. If you guys want to get both of our thoughts, we're going to get a little live rendition of a Russo play in here at some point, either throughout this show or maybe early onto the Twitter or the X, if you refer to it as X now. I still can't really wrap my mind around the, what are we calling it? But whatever. Nonetheless, we're here and we're live and we're ready to rock and roll. So a couple of things that have happened in the past, give it, 4 or so days, 5 days that we've obviously come to you live. Obviously the Brian Kelly offensive line comments have been really, really positive. I'm being obviously incredibly facetious. They have been the antithesis of positive, if you ask an LSU fan. I'll be real with you guys going into week one. I mean, you certainly don't like to hear things like we're going to play 7 or even 8 offensive linemen. And I understand that for some people that might be, a little bit cause for concern, but need not let your heart be troubled because they may not be the only team that is going to be playing more than 5 people along the offensive line purposefully, because your Tigers of Clemson, as Dabo Sweeney comes out today and says, quote, upwards at around 7 guys. And as a matter of fact, whether or not you think this is coach speak or not, matter of fact, he actually came out and said that he doesn't even know who the starting linemen are going to be and who they're going to have roll out there. Now, if you would like my honest opinion, I think that it's clear that he knows who his offensive line coach, Matt Luke, wonderful offensive line coach, I will add, Matt Luke. He obviously knows who he's going to roll out there. He knows what guys he's going to have. He obviously knows who's hurt, who's not hurt. All the things that Dabo gives to the Clemson media is very, very tongue in cheek as it pertains to some of the things that I guess an LSU fan is probably a little bit more a little bit more privy to. I guess Brian Kelly has done a really, really good job here lately of really getting the media's full attention when it comes to the injury report. And he does not have to give that for this Clemson game. As a matter of fact, he only has to do that for SEC football games. So he could very easily, there could be somebody, and I'm not saying that there is, but there could easily be someone hurt and we wouldn't have to know about it. So he doesn't have to tell us, but he obviously has taken the time to be able to give those to you weekly and has been very, very forward and forthright with that information. And so props to him in a world where you certainly don't have to do that. And college football coaches are kind of the typical, um, they're usually not the ones to do that. They usually find it beneath them to give you those answers. And so, as it pertains to the offensive line, here's how I'm going to try to explain this. I'm going to do the best job that I can, because I swear if I get asked about this one more time, I might fully, as the kids say, crash out. Listen to me very, very closely. Left tackle, right guard, center, right tackle. They're all assigned. Okay. You are going to have Tyree Adams. You are going to have Braylon Moore. You are going to have Josh Thompson. You are going to have Weston Davis. It's that left guard position that you really have to look for. Can Carius Kern give you reps? Yes. There's a lot of Emory Jones comparison as it relates to Carius Kern. And that's, more along the lines of just kind of like a body type. I think more of like what he's capable of doing. Can he play tackle? Sure. Because he has the feet and the quickness to do it. But does he have that mauler guard mentality? It was literally talked about since his freshman year that Emory Jones at some point was going to play guard. That never ended up happening. You ended up having, even someone like Zalance Hurd, who was on your campus, that demanded to play only left tackle, and it was left tackle or nothing. So you kind of thought that he was going to go and play that right tackle position, possibly, and push Emory in there to guard, and that just never panned out that way. He leaves and he goes out to Tennessee. So you now bring in, of course, more highly touted offensive linemen, and so Carius Kern has been getting the most run as it I guess seems. He is your sixth swing man. However, there is someone that I really want to make a note about, and I think it's Paul Mubenga, and I'll come here and be the first person to say that I was wrong if it happens that way. I very much thought that DJ Chester would have locked this position down by now. I don't think that that's even something that we should really even consider a debate. I don't even think that's something that, let me make sure something here. I don't really think that was even something that we even needed to consider. I mean, he started every game as a true freshman, went down to his normal position as a guard, and now all of a sudden he's apparently not impressed enough to even lock down the position. And so you've got Paul Mubenga that's getting some run there. And you kind of thought that Cohen Eccles would be the fella to maybe, clearly he's getting reps. It just, when the media sees these things and they come out, and the one person that they have always said that has had a bit of a ways to go, but from a technical standpoint, you can only say he has a ways to go so many times until you start to say, but he's getting reps with the first and second team. There's like, how much of a way to go does he actually have? It seems as though Cohen Eccles is going to get a fair shot to give this left guard position a go, rather. And so I would very much like to see what Carius Kern can give you there. If the kid's good enough to take reps at your left and right tackle, then clearly he's good enough to play left guard. And I don't really think that really doesn't need to be debated too much further. I feel as though in a world where we just want to run the ball, and we'll get into that here in here just a minute, on why that's so important in this football game in general, of course, but why that's so important in this specific game. As many other games, we've talked about who's going to run the ball, who's going to dominate that offensive line of scrimmage, and the defensive line of scrimmage for that matter. So just a couple of different things that we're going to get to here, but it seems as though that's the question mark. Who's it going to be? And again, you're likely going to see more than one of them, as Brian Kelly just told you that you could see 8 of them. I mean, he literally gave you the starting 5. Okay. And here lately, it feels like Paul is going to end up maybe getting that left guard start. We will see. And he's going to have fellas right on his tail to try to take some reps from him. So we'll certainly look at that. But what's interesting is that Dabo Swinney comes out here to the media and says that they're going to have 7 offensive linemen play, and there's no freak out. 0 freak out. 0. Definitely not on Twitter where I'm reading. Definitely not on the streets of BR or the streets of South Carolina. No freak out that I've seen. I've uploaded and updated rather the feed. Can't find it. Just seems as though LSU is the only people that think that maybe you want to just figure out who your people can be in the middle of the game. Again, would it be better to have your starting five? Yes, I'm not disagreeing with that. But is it completely unbeknownst to the earth and uncommon to reality of the time that we've ever watched college football that maybe someone else can give you a start at the left guard? I think that that's entirely possible. So, for the sake of everything Christian in the world, can we please take a deep breath and just all hold hands and just watch the football game and maybe just see who comes out at left guard? The one thing I will say though, when we get into strengths and weaknesses versus Clemson and LSU, I really want to just say I I have tried very hard to not look specifically at the left guard, because when we get into running the ball or throwing these short routes or little now routes, wherever your running back literally just takes 2 steps and turns around and you give it to him. When you try to make things work in the running game, you have to get creative. And Joe Sloan is certainly not a candidate that is, shocked to that fact. They couldn't run the ball last year well. You have it right here. They're 104th in the nation in running the ball last year was LSU. For the life of me, 116 yards. When you say 116 yards rushing in a game, that's what you averaged last year. That's not great, y'all. You know what I'm saying? And this isn't something that has not been covered by other people. I just wanted to put this into perspective for you. That's not only bad, that's near as bad as you were on defense in the Matt House 2023 defense. You're that close to bad. You were bad. Okay. Does that mean that you can't run the ball this year, that you're going to be bad again? No, absolutely does not mean that. And as a matter of fact, it is incredibly, let me figure out a way to say that the right way. It would shock me if you're dramatically better than that, especially in your first game. Okay. Especially in your first game. Everybody knows the old adage. If it's clunky on offense in week 1, you can make that better. That can come along. If you're bad on defense in game 1, you should be pretty worried. It is a stark and vast difference between being bad day 1 on offense, and I mean bad, clunky, and things not working on defense to start. Both sides of the football are not. I mean, they are oceans apart as it relates to how worried you should be about your football team if your team is not good at one of those two things to start the season. Just let that be known right now. But as it pertains to this specific matchup, what are you gonna do to make yourself better? How are you going to do it? What are some things that you could do? Where might you run? Who might you run at? Those are some of the things that we're going to get into here tonight, and what I would expect to be a little bit, a little bit more of an in-depth catching up with coach episode, because I would really, really like to dive into some of these things, because I certainly don't want to take the time away from the full slate of college football games that Russo and myself are going to get into this Thursday. So with the catching up with coach episode, for some of you that may not have known, or that just might be joining us for the first time or watching us, first of all, welcome. Happy to have you here. This is a more LSU based show. Certainly we dive into not only the opponent that you're going to be playing, but some of the tidbits, I should say, but just the overarching ideas and principles that are certainly necessary to go and beat another team, and the ins and outs of that: offense, defense, special teams, players, individual matchups, injury report, knock on wood that, we don't have to deal with that anytime soon or ever or at all. But that's kind of what these episodes are for. So that's some of the things that we're going to get into. But before we move on, I don't want to go any further without saying, first and foremost, how thankful I am for those of you that are here, for those of you that are watching us live, and for those of you that are going to be watching us on delay. We love you the same. Certainly love you no matter what. But I definitely want to give a shout out to the wonderful folks at Web Western. I am going to say clearly that they are not a show sponsor yet. We're working on that. But as it pertains to a social media ambassador, I have joined the Web Western team. And for those of you that are not familiar with them, they are, and because of a couple of different things. I'm not gonna try to go too much into the weeds of it, but if you wanted to give them a look, there should be at least a 1 or 2 minute, if you're curious on buying hats and shirts, 1 or 2 minute effort from yourself to go and give this company a look. This incredible hat, as you can see, that I'm wearing right now, is their little frost camo look. Water repellent, super comfortable, unbelievably airy, like not too thick, not gross. I haven't had sweat stains. I've been wearing these for a few weeks now, completely and unimaginably excited to be on with them. And if you guys would like to get a little discount on some of their merch, certainly shoot me over a DM, and that's over at Web Western, WEBB Western. And we're all about straight shooters around here. So in the vein of going for straight shooters, let's go ahead and get back right to it. One thing that I think that we're going to do, try to keep this brief before we go into point number 2. When you look at a matchup and everyone wants to obviously cheer for their team, and I certainly get that. I turn no blind eye to people wanting to cheer for their team. The one thing you want to keep in mind is there something that you can look at, especially in a first of the year game like this? What can you look at that can give you a good idea as to how this is going to go? And there's 4 things. Okay. The fourth one is going to be the one that you should probably consider maybe a little bit less than the first 3, but we'll get to it. Number 1 is the coach. Number 2 is the QB. Number 3 is the venue. Number 4 is Vegas. So what do all those things, what do all of those things mean? Coach. Who's got the coaching edge in this game? I actually gave this a tie. I know that's kind of a cop-out. If you wanted to know where the seesaw would go if I were to be a little bit, less Switzerland-esque, it would probably lean into the direction of Clemson, to be honest with you, just because Dabo is obviously not only a national champion, but a multiple-time national champion. But the teeter kind of goes to both of them. And the reason for that is because Brian Kelly has done this for an incredibly long period of time. And not to say that Dabo is obviously brand new at this, but these are certainly different times for both of them. Dabo's finally taking kids out of the transfer portal, not a lot, but some. And then BK, for all intents and purposes, has never changed his coaching philosophy more. I mean, he's given up, whether it's the Austin Thomas hire, you got a general manager now, he's giving up and relinquishing some of his, I will say his mainstays and some of the things that he's used to doing as a college football coach, and he's giving them to someone else. He's giving the job to somebody else. And so some of that obviously has to come in recruiting too. Now he is obviously at the focal point of that, but as far as managing the roster, that must be done by someone else. There's actually a lot of video on this and sound bites and whatnot that you wouldn't have a hard time finding. But BK really embraced the "we have to get better now" thing, and did literally what other schools, I mean, you name them, Ohio State, Ole Miss. I'm trying to think of another really big player in the transfer portal game. I mean, Alabama's certainly been a player at this. I mean, South Carolina even, which, by the way, they just got news today. Their new starting running back's going to be able to go. So great to find out, 4 days before kickoff, right? But LSU really went hard in the paint as it pertains to getting some talent, and most of it you're going to see likely on defense pop first, primarily because of safety, primarily because of corner, even receiver. I just think that this is more even than anything else. I can just leave it at that. Both of them have reasons to think that they are better than the opponent here. I give coach a wash. Next is quarterback. Some folks are certainly going to accuse me of being biased, and I'm not going to disagree with that. However, there are certain things that I inherently can only put aside so much, and it is that I have seen more preparation for year 2 from Garrett Nussmeier than I have with Cade Klubnik, only because Dabo doesn't allow media availability out into practice. So how the hell could I have gotten anything in the offseason from K Klubnik? Appreciate that, Dabo. And secondarily, because I can judge them off of last year too. And based on the weapons that are around them. And that's not to say that K Klubnik does not have weapons. Believe me, we will get into the weapons that they have here in just a bit. But Garrett Nussmeier also is the leading passer in college football. Like, and I'm not really sure how many people have harped on that point, but 4,000-yard passer returning to college football. Now, there again, a lot of interceptions come with that. Can you get rid of those? Can you check the ball down? Can you, as Brian Kelly will say and has said very often, can zero be the worst thing that you do? I hope so. It feels like Garrett has really, really tried hard, from what I understand, from those that have covered the team and from those that have access and are privy to that information, are certainly optimistic about his ability to use those checkdowns to get the ball down on the ground and not into the hands of the other team. That alone is awesome. However, K Klubnik only did that 6 times last year. That is mightily impressive. K Klubnik is also not like Garrett Nussmeier. He is a true dual threat. Like, he is not going to, Cam Newton himself across the football field, but he's a big kid that's going to lower his head. Like, we've seen him lower his head on the goal line at South Carolina. We've seen him lower his head yet there again at South Carolina, going for first downs. Like, he's not afraid to get hit, and you got to respect that. And now there's a lot of people that are going to say, well, Garrett Nussmeier literally never ran, and you'd be right in saying that. Yet again, people that are privy to practice and people that are privy to watching the team have said that he has tried desperately to work on that and has done it here in the offseason. And so we will certainly be able to see that on game one, because I assure you they're going to send pressure, big homie. They're coming. So we're going to find out just how much you worked on moving the sticks and getting down quickly. But can you do it in a safe way so that you're not putting yourself at risk and hurting your team? So the edge there I give to LSU. The next one is venue. I don't need to go too crazy on this. Obviously, the venue belongs to Clemson for the edge there. I don't think that this is. I don't think that this is even really something that most people, I guess, because they're so used to watching these games be in neutral sites. This is a this is a literal home game for Clemson, and you aren't getting, if you're LSU, as in you aren't getting a bunch of tickets. Like, you've got half a dozen thousand, 6 or so allotted, with like 1,000, like literally a sixth of that being in the lower bowl, and then you're going to have to go to the secondary market. So if LSU puts 10,000 butts in the stadium, I'd be floored. I mean, that would literally put you still at only like maybe like an eighth or so of the people in that stadium. There's going to be obviously more people there, cheering for the other team than for you. That's going to make it hard to hear. That's going to make it hard to communicate. And so I clearly give the edge to Clemson there. And going off the venue, I think is where number 4 comes into play the most, and that's Vegas. And Vegas values this home field atmosphere at 4, and if you shop it, around 4.5 points. And in the NFL, the Sunday game is typically more of a 3. You'll find sometimes even 2.5. And sometimes it doesn't even matter. I've got a buddy of mine. Shout out to my dog, Kev. Kev can give you a spreadsheet, and at some point I would love to have this spreadsheet and find out what exactly the home atmosphere in a college game versus a Sunday game, like how much the disparity is between how much it really matters. Because in college it absolutely matters more, and you can say that's from professionalism, or you could say because of it's just the amount of people that are at these big college football games. And we've seen games like Tampa Bay and Carolina where there's 20,000 people there, and half the seats are empty, and it's an 11 a.m. or like even like a Thursday 7 o'clock afternoon game. You know what I mean? Like, it's just different for college football. So I obviously give, because obviously they put it there, the odds for that like I said, are over at whatever your betting apps are. But the notch goes to Clemson there, which gives Clemson the venue and Vegas. I give it a tie, maybe a slight lean to the coach with Clemson and the quarterback edge with LSU, which was also incredibly close. So for all of those reasons, if you're looking to bet a game and bet the team, you should bet Clemson. Like you should. There is no one thing that I'm going to be able to bring to you tonight or Thursday night or on Twitter on Saturday morning. There's literally nothing that I'm going to be able to bring to you that should give you some sort of evidence or thing that we haven't already broken down that should make you feel like, well, I mean, LSU's got it in the bag. You know what I mean? Like there's just not, like Clemson mirrors you in a lot of different ways. And so for those reasons, you keep leaning to, yeah, but it's game one. You haven't done well in game ones, and they're at the house. We'll give the lean to Clemson. It'll probably be, a field goal game or a touchdown game or a 10-point game. And some of those things add up. And so one of the main reasons that even again matters is because this is college football. These are, even though they're paid like professionals, these are amateur athletes, and they are, certainly not, used to, having played 1, 2, 3 seasons of college football, and now they're in the NFL and they're used to it and they're being paid big bucks to, go and be properly mentally equipped. These are, 18, 19-year-old kids. And so we have to, treat that as such when it comes to putting our money where we want it to go. And honestly, I wouldn't be mad at you for betting LSU and just trying to stand firm. I mean, you've been betting LSU for home games for opening games this long. Why not give it another ride? What else do you have to lose? You know what I mean? But I do think that the smart money is to put it on Clemson. Maybe giving you a bit of a prelude to how our picks are going to go for Thursday, but we'll certainly, get into that later on in the week. Which moves us to points 3, and then after that, point 4, and then I've got like a 4A. How many times are we going to have to say this? But you can't win a college football game if you can't run the ball and stop the run. It's not hard. This is not rocket science. This is not the cutting edge of information. This is just reality. And so if I'm Clemson, and these are some of the strategies, and we're just going to kind of go in order of the kind of the things that I need to see from Clemson if they're going to win the football game. And then alternatively, we'll give that exact same viewpoint to LSU. So the first thing that I want to talk about is they're going to spread you out. Massive pause. And I'm aware of that. But they're going to, like, Clemson is going to make you dictate what you want to do. Even in the press conference today, Dabo literally responded. Someone asked him about Harold Perkins. The first thing he says is, "Well, hell of a player, because he's got that old Bama accent. Hell of a player. Certainly going to have to see what kind of adjustments they've made in the run game and what they're going to do with him and how he's going to address, like, let me make that easy for you. They want to know if you're actually going to put Harold Perkins back out in coverage, or if you're just going to put his hand in the dirt and let him come off the edge, or let him go from standing up. They want to see if you're really going to use him as a safety. Are you going to use him as a spy? Are you going to put him in the middle of the field? Please, dear Christ, do not put him in the middle of the field. Please, dear God. In every Christian religious form, please do not let Harold Perkins play in the middle of the field, dear Lord. Please let him come off the edge, play on the sides and the edge. If I see Harold Perkins line up at middle linebacker for the duration of the game, I am going to freak out and make a scene in front of people, likely my family, so they'll understand and they will love me anyway. But I'm going to make a scene, and I'm going to be real hard to deal with coming onto the show next week. So they want to see it. If you're Clemson, I mean, you've been spending 2 years trying to make this kid play middle linebacker, and then he ends up getting hurt. So we have no idea how he was gonna finish the year. So if I'm Clemson, I need to see it. And he just told you that they want to see the same thing. They're making you show them what you're going to do with Harold Perkins and how you're going to address the run. So they're going to make you dictate what you're going to do. Get into obvious man coverage. Get into zone. When you get out wide, they're going to run. They're going to run jet sweeps. They're going to run motions. They're going to have little throws out of the backfield. They're going to have. They're going to come out empty. They're going to have literally anything that they can do. You're going to have. I would so not be shocked if they started in the first couple of drives with some bubble screens, and just trying to get their playmakers out in space, because that is what they're going to do, and you're going to have to come down and make plays. You're also going to see a little bit of something you may not think that Cade Klubnik is good at, but I assure you, if you've watched enough of his football games, he is going to be good at this, and he is going to tuck the ball and run, period. He is going to tuck the ball and run. And it's not the kind of run where Peyton Manning would do whenever he would just fall over and get a couple of yards. He's gonna go and put his head down and try to get an extra yard. He is going to. Can someone go and pop him if you're LSU and show him why you shouldn't do that for the rest of the game? Are you going to step up and do that? These are the questions that your fans want to know. Are you going to have the spine? Because I'm trying to keep this as PG as I possibly can now. Are you going to have the spine to go out and hit somebody in space and be that football team that you say that you want to be? Are you going to go and get these players that are going to have a little bit of moxie about them? And I certainly hope that that's the case. And it's better for the game when that is the case, instead of the drama diva, let's run away from contact and just celebrate every time there's an incomplete pass, even though you had nothing to do with breaking the ball up. Don't even get me started. So number one, they're going to spread you out. Again, already said pause, don't have to address it again. Pressure you into mistakes. 1 billion%. If I'm Clemson, I'm going to try to pressure you into mistakes. What do I mean by that? If I'm Clemson and I am on defense, so flip sides of the ball here, Clemson wants LSU to get into obvious downs. Just like I just said before, they want to know what LSU is going to run. And any college football team, any football team, anyone in life wants to put the opponent in an obvious situation where you feel like you know what's coming. Unfortunately for LSU, a lot of the times last year offensively, you did this without even knowing that you were doing it. And I think that comes down to Joe Sloan. I think that comes down to design, but it certainly comes down to your strengths and weaknesses. And if you can't do a certain thing, then I mean, then you have to get better players to be able to do it. And Joe Sloan can only call what you're good at, and he can only try it so many times before you pretty much have to just throw it out of the playbook. And so they're going to make you run the football. And you're going to have to. If you're Caden Durham, I am getting prepared to literally find the smallest space of daylight and run for the hills to it. And I mean run for the hills to it. They are going to give you looks and force you, if you are Garrett, to tuck it, pull it, and convert. Are you going to be able to do it? Are you going to show us that you have taken your game to the next level if you are Garrett Nussmeier, who, by the way, congratulations on earning number 18, young man. A hell of an honor, and we're not going to miss that. We're not going to speed past that. But a hell of an honor for Garrett Nussmeier earning 18. But have you done what 18s have done and gone and taken a look in the mirror and say, what does my team need me to be? What do I need to do to take this team to the next level? What do I need to do to take this drive one play further and get into the end zone? Can you get 7 instead of 3? The only way that those questions are going to get answered is if you run the football. And whether it's Caden Durham or whether it's Garrett Nussmeier or whether it's Judas Iscariot, somebody is going to have to run the football if you're LSU. Xavion Thomas, put Gabe Relaford back there. Jesus Christ. Someone's going to have to tote this rock. You understand me? And at some point, we have to be honest with ourselves and say, if we're not going to tote the rock, we're just going to have to throw for 350, 400 yards a game. And you know that you don't want to get into the business of being that kind of team. So somebody is going to have to run the ball if you want to win games like this. And I'm not saying that you're gonna. I'm also not saying that you're not. I'm just trying to tell you as the fan watching the game that if you don't, It's going to be a rough ride. You understand? Because you're going on the road to their crib, and you have to shut the crowd up some kind of way. And running the football is a great way of doing that. And last but not least, we've gone over first, second, and now the third for Clemson's strategy, and that's going to make you, again, it's kind of like a B A type of one here, and it's make you one dimensional. If you can't run the football, then you can only throw so many different routes before you just have to pretty much pray that you can get a turnover on the defensive side of the football from if you're LSU. If they make you one dimensional, this is going to be a hard game to win. If they make you one dimensional, it's going to be a hard game to even try to cover. And again, I just want to say, if you've got issues at left guard, run the other way. Granted, they know you're going to do that, but run the other way. Like, don't let me see you run the ball, 12 times on the game and then give up. Because again, I will freak out and I will frisbee this elite book from here till kingdom come. I will forehand throw this computer out of the hotel balcony that I'm watching this game from if you run the ball 12 times and then stop and it doesn't work, and all of a sudden you stop, and in the fourth quarter you've thrown it 15 times and ran it once. I'm literally going to freak out. I need you to stay committed. If I'm LSU, I need you to stay committed to running the football in the first quarter, in the second quarter, in the third quarter, in the fourth quarter. Why? Because the more I watch this Clemson team, the more I've seen their susceptibility to giving up the bigger runs later, which is what you lived on at LSU. Caden Durham hitting it for 20 and 15 and 30 and 40 yards. That is what you lived on. It won you the South Carolina game. Can you do that? If you're one dimensional, it's going to make it really easy for this Clemson defense, who just got a new defensive coordinator to win this football game for them. And considering that they were not great defending the run last year, you kind of hope that some of those habits, do die hard. If you're an LSU fan, again, 116 yards rushing per average for LSU last year, and that's good for 104th in the nation. Last year, Clemson gave up 167.5 yards per game, and that's good for 92nd in the nation. But here's the caveat, and I want you guys to listen to this super close. Clemson lost 4 games last year. That seems to be forgotten. I'm not sure why, but that seems to be forgotten, that Clemson did lose 4 football games last year. 4, okay? In those 4 losses, Georgia, Louisville, South Carolina, and Texas. In those football games, it was a beating in the first game of the year, and they also lost their first game of the year before that, to brother Michael Elko, at your time, the coach of the Duke Blue Devils, which is a basketball school. Just saying. But anyway, back to 2024. Against Georgia, they had given up 258 yards on the ground. Against Louisville, 210. South Carolina, 151. And Texas, 292. For a grand total average of 227 yards and some change in losses. However, I know what you're thinking. Well, why would you give me those? This is why. Because in LSU's losses last year, they also lost 4 games last year. And in those losses, your Fighting Tigers of LSU had 117 rushing yards against SoCal, which we talked about before. If John Emery plays that entire game, that could be different, but we deal with what we deal with. 117 yards against Southern California, Texas A&M 76, Alabama 92, and 130 to Florida, for a grand total average of 103 yards and some change in losses. So one's given up 227 in their 4 losses, and the other one is only averaging 103 in theirs. At some point, you got to find a median. I think that median is going to be somewhere between Clemson either getting the best of you on the offensive line of scrimmage from those nasty defensive linemen that they've got. And I think that you have to assume that at some point, you're going to get a good run from LSU, but it's, can you do it more than once? Can you do it consistently? Can you get 3 or 4 yards a carry and not just 1 and 2? That will certainly be the difference. So just some food for thought. Speeding along into LSU, and this is again, we could do this all night long. I would literally not complain about doing a 3-hour show, but we're gonna try to get you guys out of here and enjoying the rest of your Tuesday afternoon here after we finish this point. The LSU keys to victory. So again, just to recap super quick, Clemson spread you out, press you into mistakes, and make you one-dimensional. If you're a Clemson football fan, that is the three things that I see that you need to do in order to win the football game. If you're an LSU fan, first one, run the rock. Just spent 15 minutes talking about it. Don't need to go that deep. You got to run the rock. Obviously, if you're having trouble at left guard, run to the right side. Now, obviously, you want to give Tyree Adams some go and run behind him, but if you've got pressure through the left side of your offensive line, you know what I mean? Since Alex Adkins has gotten there, and for those of you that don't know who Alex Adkins is, Alex Adkins was the offensive coordinator at Florida State, who is pretty familiar with Clemson, has become your tight ends coach over at LSU, and his thing was running counter. If you don't know what a counter is, please read into it. I'm the last person that needs to give you a full breakdown as to why counter works and why counter is awesome. Just know that offensive linemen have to pull, which means go to the other side of the line in order to create pressure. There's a lot of counter run that has come out of spring football from those that are privy to the info. If you're going to run counter, you got to have everybody on the same page. You've got to be confident in your ability to get 3 and 4 yards per carry. So if you're going to run the rock, you're going to have to try some different things. Like I said before, now routes, reverses, Xavier Thomas, little, Swiss Army knife type plays. I mean, quite literally, I am fine if you take a page out of the Ole Miss playbook and you put Don McKinley back there like your Ole Miss and JJ Pegues, and you just get his big ass moving vertically. You understand? Just get me 2 yards. Like what are you gonna do when it's 4th and 2 or 3rd and 6? Like, you have to be good enough in running the football. This is going to be a long game and likely season if you can't run that rock. So if I'm LSU, what are the one pieces of offensive, strategy that we've talked about this entire offseason? It's clearly your weapons that you have at receiver. You've got 426 and 3/4 receivers on your team. All of them can be good and can catch the football, jump high, and run fast. Get them out in space. This isn't hard. But make Clemson guard you, man. Like, make Clemson, because they've got Avion Terrell, and Terrell is a wonderful player. He's definitely going to be playing on the Sunday on the Sunday nights. Great player, not a big guy, so maybe he shadows somebody the entire game. Maybe they stick him on Chris Hilton and they say, look, Chris Hilton's not going to beat us. Dabo made a comment today in their press brief that he was certainly aware of Chris Hilton. Does he stay on, one person? Does he just stay on that, or does he just stay on the boundary and whoever comes his way has to go against Terrell? But get to man defense, because you know that you want to take shots. Like, if you're gonna play press man, then we're taking that shot. If it's Davion Thomas, if it's Barry and Brown, if it's Chris Hilton, if it's Trey'Dez Green, man, like, just make them respect you so that you can get a light box and do the first one, which is run the ball. Show them that you can go deep. Pause. And if I'm going to be honest, I think this is probably going to be, on either side of the football, the most important one. 45 minutes into the show, the most important thing that could happen for either one of these two teams as it relates to to this football game. I don't need it. I don't need it. I don't need it. I don't need it, Tyler. I don't. If I'm the LSU defense, you need to create havoc and force Cade Klubnik to make mistakes. He doesn't make a lot of them, but you have to make him make at least one. You can create pressure with these edge rushers that you've got, and I definitely believe that. But if you can create havoc up the middle, if Bernard Gooden can just give you some of what you've seen in the spring and in the summer, or rather in the summer, um, dear God, like can Kyle Williams get these boys ready to rock and get physical? I mean, getting right up in there. You know what I'm saying? Like, be violent at the point of attack. I, please, please put your please, dear Lord, sweet dear Lord, let there be a sack from a defensive tackle in this football game from the LSU Tigers, and I will put a very excited tweet out into the social media atmosphere. I'm just going to say that. Create havoc and force Cade to make mistakes. Make him throw a pick. Make him think that he should be comfortable trying to go and get those 3 or 4 extra yards and get a first down, and come down and put a physical tackle directly onto that young man. Let him know what's going to happen if you scramble out of that pocket. Let Perk 7 come get a glimpse of what this offense wants to do. Run left and right. Go east to west. I'm fine with that. If you want to go east to west, I'm cool with that. We can live with you doing that. But he's a great deep ball thrower, is Cade Klubnik. And if you get into a position, if you're LSU, where you need to run man, and you've just got to say, guys, we got to put him on an island for this play. Got to rock. Can you hold up? Can you stay disciplined in your assignments and not let them beat you over the top? They've got the cats to do it. You want to hear the kind of cats they've got? I'll tell you. They got TJ Moore, 45 catches, 651 yards, 5 touchdowns, returns. Antonio Williams, 75 catches, 904 yards, 11 touchdown returns. Bryant Wesco, the speed demon, 41 catches, 708 yards, 5 touchdowns, returns. Guys, that is a lot of receiving yards coming back. They've got Adam Randall, who's going to be this converted wide receiver to running back fellow, who's they say is dynamic in space a little bit. Maybe that's a wrinkle that you can attack if you're LSU. They're going to have playmakers. They want to get them in space. Can you be disciplined in your ability to get to them? And can you alternatively force Cade Klubnik to make mistakes, which, of course, as it's been duly noted, he only made 6 of those last year. So I feel like that's kind of a full synopsis. This doesn't need to be made that difficult, y'all. We have said this time and time again. We have talked about this till we're blue in the face. I literally don't know how many more ways I can say this. I'm going to likely say it again on Thursday. I need to see a we're gonna put everything that you've seen from defense from us the last few years behind us, and this is a new unit. You saw a little bit of that last year with LSU being 59th in total defense. Better. I just need to see I just need to see it. I just need to see it. Popcorn yellow stripe smile. I don't know what that's different. Okay. I'm gonna be honest. It kind of, All right. That's the Tigers winning on Saturday guaranteed. Thank you, Tyler, for pointing out the obvious. I kind of lost my train of thought, but regardless, we've talked about this till the cows come home. I just need to see. I need to see this defense show up and play on the road. I need to see it. I need to see you run the ball. And until then, I can't feel comfortable picking you to win if I'm LSU. And so for those reasons, I think this is going to be a very, very hard fought, difficult game. And I can't wait to watch. I'm incredibly excited. We apparently, if YouTube TV can get the things, figured out in time, we'll be able to watch hopefully Texas and Ohio State play in the lunchtime, and then get ready for close to 7:00 Central like 6:52 or whatever, but who's counting? Central Standard Time for for your kickoff with Clemson and LSU. And no matter what happens, your season's still in front of you. Obviously, if you're Clemson, you're going to be favored in every single one of your football games. So certainly your season's not over if you end up dropping this game. And then if you're LSU, it certainly makes life that much harder for you because obviously you having a much more difficult schedule coming down the rest of the season. So much so that you've got Florida here at the house in 2 weeks. So I mean, your September is brutal. I mean, you've got Clemson, you've got Florida, you've got, South Carolina. Like I mean, there's no, let up spots, or at least not many of them. So can you get out on a good note and start fast? And that's honestly going to wrap us up, guys. I'm incredibly excited to see where this is going to go. I'm incredibly excited to see where this game is going to lead us. And we'll certainly be here to cover all of it. Not only here on the Catching Up with Coach episodes, likely on Monday or Tuesday, just week depending, and obviously on Thursdays with Russo and myself. And then the betting show. Please do not miss Russo After Dark on Fridays. May even go live sometimes a little bit earlier, just depending on what the lines are saying. We don't want to give you the line late and then you end up missing the play. So I like the Russo After Dark. I thought the name was awesome. It kind of came to him in the witching hour. But I liked it and it was great. And that's going to wrap us up, guys. Again, super nervous if I'm an LSU fan, but super excited. I know that obviously you guys are looking forward to it as well. And so we're super excited for you guys to be here and to support us and support the show and everything that we're doing here. So again, if you haven't given us a like, if you haven't given us a follow, if you weren't watching us live, if you're watching us on delay, certainly all right. We love you just the same. Just wanted to let you all know again, my apologies for a few minutes of a late start. Had to get my notes ready to rock and get the air down in the house. I'm so over the summer, y'all. Today was the first day for Starbucks to bring pumpkin spice things to the menu. In no way am I ready for pumpkin spice anything. It's literally still 95 degrees outside with 156% humidity. I can't. I can't. I can't. Please, dear God, let there be just some 70 and breezy days here soon. And again, that's going to put a button on us. So tune in on Thursday night when we go live, both of us, super ready. Just tired of talking about it, ready to watch football. Incredibly excited. So until then, y'all take it easy. Be wonderful. Be kind. Catch y'all on Thursday. Peace, guys.